nothing begins with us. The more we pay attention, the more we begin to realize that all the work we ever do is a collaboration. It's a collaboration with the art that's come before you and the art that will come after. It's also a collaboration with the world you're living in, with the experiences you've had, with the tools you use, with the audience, and with who you are today. So that was from Rick Rubin's The Creative Act, a book I was looking at since last Christmas, and it's been a really good read. I'm glad I got it. It's very eye-opening. I'm like 2/3 of the way through, and it's a little esoteric at times, but I highly recommend it. You know, it's been nice to read in the in-between moments, just to have something to think about so that you're not on autopilot all the time during your daily routines. I think what Rubin is trying to say here is that anything you make has to come from something, and that the final product is a result of two things together. Something you draw from externally and something you draw from internally. So for example, externally would be places and experiences, and internally would be something like values. And I think that applies quite well to my stance on photography, as I'll show you later with some of the photos I took at F1. It's been a while, huh? I find that when I'm deep in the trenches, the first thing I do is see if I can break out of the monotony of the routine that I'm in, whether it be reading a new book or, change of scenery. I actually do need to go get groceries now, which is a decent change of scenery, but not the most interesting thing in the world. Better than looking at a screen though. Actually, hold on. Did you know that you can't eat moldy bread? Okay, let me rephrase that. Did you know that you can't just cut off the fuzzy bit of mold on a piece of bread and then continue to eat it? Because a few weeks ago, as it were, 'twas an early morning, I needed breakfast, right? So naturally, I pulled out a slice of bread and put peanut butter on it, only to realize that there was a slight bit of fuzz on the corner. And, not thinking twice, I just cut off that corner and then took a bite, because why would it be unsafe? Penicillin's made from mold, surely it can't be that bad. If anything, it should be helping me, because it's practically medicine. I was curious about the situation, so I Googled it to see if it was safe. Turns out it's not. Apparently the visible fuzz is just the part that you can see. The actual mold is deep inside the bread already. So imagine my surprise, mid-bite, with a mouthful of peanut butter and mold, reading shit like this is gonna give you nausea and diarrhea. Terrible start to my morning. Let's see if we can find something else that's not bread. Now I am well aware that this is mid to late November, so it's been over a month since Formula 1, but there is one photo that I do want to talk about, and it's this specific photo. And I don't know, there's just something about this photo. It's pretty easy to get a car when it's moving fast and, it's the only thing in focus. Everything else is blurry, it's got streaks moving around it. Very easy to get that type of photo. But what's not as easy, I would say, is to get something with a story. You as a photographer, you want your photos to tell a story, hopefully. And I think this one does that pretty well. Because when I see this photo, it's not just something cool. Formula 1 car is almost always going to look cool. But this one tells a story in the sense that it's a kid sitting on his dad's shoulders in the foreground. And I feel like this could be a core memory for the kid. I think it's a lot better than just having it as a single photo of the car itself. It's almost always better to show the actual environment instead of just the spectacle that's in front. It feels like you're looking at a memory, if that's not too pretentious to say. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because it's a pretty cool image. One of my better ones, I think. Check out my Instagram. Seeing F1 cars go around a circuit for the first time was definitely a memorable experience, and not one that I will forget anytime soon. If anything, it probably started a new interest in motorsports. Maybe I'll make a separate video on that later. In any case, when I was in the grandstands taking photos of the event, I couldn't help but think about Ruben's point on how art is born from experiences, that we need to go out and see life in the flesh before we can make something. It's our distinct interpretation of an event or a scene in front of us that allows us to then remix it into an art form. You can't just pull something out of your ass. Everything has a source material. This is also probably another reminder that you have to go outside and put yourself in situations if you want to get better at anything, even if you have the tendency to rot at home. Actually, especially if you have the tendency to rot at home.